Today, my very first Sew What box arrived in the mail. I'm excited to share the contents with you as well as do a sew-along for the project that's included inside. The Sew What box is a monthly subscription box that's beginner-friendly and has all the contents inside for you to complete an entire project. All of the fabrics included for the project are pre-cut and ready to go. The box also includes a lot of extra gadgets and goodies that are always useful in your sewing room. I've left a link to the box below so you can check out all the details, grab a box, and sew along with me. So let's open up this month's box and get started on the sewing project. Right when you open up your new box, you have an info card that tells you the theme for the month and all the contents included inside. There's also a little sewing goodie included in the box. This month, it's a nifty measuring gauge. Then they have a fun extra fabric bundle that you don't need for this project, but you can use it for whatever you want in your sewing room, or you can use it if you want to duplicate this month's pattern. And then you have a full AO copy of this month's pattern. And lastly, you have the full project kit, everything you need to make this month's project, from the pins, all the pre-cut fabric pieces, the zipper, the hardware, and of course, thread. All I need to do now is load my machine with the new thread and I'm ready to get started. We're going to start with our long strap piece. Fold this piece in half lengthwise, right sides together, and pin in place from one edge all the way to the other. Now that strap is pinned in place, grab your two small rectangular pieces, fold them in half right sides together matching the short edges, and pin in place. Now we're going to take our strap and two smaller rectangles to the sewing machine and sew each of these raw edges with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now that each of these pieces are sewn, we're going to turn them right side out. Now that they're right side out, take each of them to the ironing board and press them flat. Now we're going to take both of these smaller pieces back to the sewing machine and top stitch both of the long edges with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now for our longer strap piece, we're going to tuck the raw edges into the inside of the tube by about 1/2 inch. It should look like this with those raw edges tucked inside, and do this for both short edges. Now we're going to take this strap to the sewing machine and top stitch along all 4 edges with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, stitching all the way around. Grab all of your hardware pieces, and first we're going to be working with this slide piece. Take one short edge of your strap piece and place it up and over that center bar of the slide. Move the slide to about 3 inches from the edge of the strap and fold that strap piece to the back, and then we're going to sew back and forth a couple of times to secure that strap piece to itself. Now that end of the strap is secured in place, grab your hook piece and lace the opposite end of your strap through that open end. And now your strap will look like this from the right side. Now we're going to take that other end of the strap once again and lace it through both of the bars of the slide, up through one bar and down through the other. So now that we've finished this end of the strap, take that short edge once again, and we're going to apply our other hook piece to that short edge, lacing it through the opening, and then folding back that edge just as we did for the other short end. And again, with the folded edge of the strap folded back about 1.5 inches, sew back and forth that edge to secure in place. Now grab your two main rectangle pieces and place them right sides together. Pin along one of the long edges. Sew this edge with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once that seam is sewn, go ahead and press that seam allowance toward the darker fabric. And then take this to your sewing machine and top stitch along that darker fabric from one end to the other, sewing this darker fabric to your seam allowance as you go. Now grab your zipper piece and place the zipper right sides together with the darker fabric. aligning that top edge of the zipper with the top raw edge of the fabric. Center that zipper in place. Now take your lining fabric, match the short edge of that rectangle with the short edge of the rectangle of your canvas. Sandwich that zipper in between and pin in place. And then using your zipper foot, go ahead and sew close to those zipper teeth all the way across. Now that that seam is sewn, open out the canvas and the lining, and then press the lining and the zipper away from each other along that seam. And then additionally, press your main fabric and the zipper away from each other again along that seam. Then we're going to put the lining and the main fabric wrong sides together and top stitch alongside that zipper with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now fold up the loose end of your main fabric piece to meet the free edge of that zipper. And then flip that over and fold up your lining piece, also meeting that free edge of the zipper. And then pin those together through all layers. And then sew across that seam just as we did for the other side of the zipper. Now that we have that seam sewn, unzip your zipper and turn this material right side out. And now you're going to press the lining and the main fabric away from the zipper in the same way as we did for the other side. And then you're going to top stitch along this zipper end in the same way as we did on the other side. Now grab your 2 D-ring pieces and both of the small rectangle pieces we started with, and lace each of these rectangle pieces through the D-rings. Match up the short edges of the rectangles. Now with the right side of one of your trapezoid pieces facing you, place the raw edge of this D-ring piece on the top short edge of the trapezoid, centering those raw edges in place. Do this for 2 trapezoid pieces and both of the D-ring pieces. Now take the 2 remaining trapezoid pieces, place them right sides together with the other pieces, sandwiching those D-rings in between and pin in place. Now that those top edges are secured, pin together the 2 side edges. Now go to your sewing machine and sew the side and top edges, leaving the bottom edges open for now. Now that we've sewn those edges, we're going to trim the corners, close to but not through those corner stitches. And then turn these pieces right side out, poking out these corners. And then take them both to your ironing board and give those seams a good press. And then take these back to your sewing machine and top stitch along the 3 seams that we just sewed, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to turn our main and lining fabrics wrong side out once again, pulling this lining out from the inside. So now the lining and the main fabrics are right sides together with themselves. Now we're going to align the center of the zipper with the center of the main fabric. Once that zipper is aligned with the centers of the main fabrics, align the zipper with the centers of the linings as well. Now take one of your trapezoid pieces, find the center of the raw edge of your trapezoid piece, and place the trapezoid piece in between the main fabrics with the D-ring facing inside. Align all of the centers and pin in place. And repeat on the other side. Use your finger to feel through the fabric so that you can feel where this trapezoid edge is. Now we're going to accordion fold to the bottom of our lining piece so that it lines up with the edge of that trapezoid piece. So I've tucked the edge of the lining into itself so that now there are 2 folded edges of the lining which match up with the edge of that trapezoid. Pin both of these newly folded edges of your lining separately. And repeat on the other side. Now we can open out that lining piece and tuck the folded edge of our main fabric over that bottom lining piece. Pin through all layers on both sides. Now we have that main fabric sandwiched in between these lining pieces. Repeat all of these steps on the other side of the material. First, accordion folding your lining. And then tuck that main fabric on top of the lining piece, so that the remaining lining piece can now be folded on top. Now on the side of this pouch that has your zipper pull, push that zipper pull out of the way so that we can sew all across this edge with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now that that side is sewn, we're going to sew the other side. We're going to sew down from the folded edge a 1/2 inch and backstitch to secure, and sew again from the opposite folded edge, again a 1/2 inch backstitching to secure. This way we leave an opening on either side of the zipper so that we can turn it right side out. Now that both of those seams are sewn and we have this opening on the zipper pull side of the pouch, place your fingers inside the main fabric pieces and grab the D-ring on the opposite side. And then you can pull that D-ring to pull the fabric right side out. Now that we have that all turned right side out, take those raw edges that are sticking out from our turning opening and tuck them to the inside. Do this on the front and back of the bag. Once they're nicely tucked into place along that seam line, we're going to top stitch all across this side of the bag. Do this top stitching on both sides of your bag. Because we're sewing through quite a few layers here, make sure you increase your stitch length to accommodate that bulk. Now that we've done that, we have a nice fully lined zipper pouch, and we can hook our strap to those D-rings. And now you're all done with your fanny pack. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you check out my other videos for more great sewing inspiration, and I'll see you in the next video.